What's a quirky family tradition you never questioned? Until someone asked, wait, why do you do that? My parents, my younger sister Tanya, and I lived in this old house that had belonged to my grandparents. Every single time we had a thunderstorm, like literally every single time, my dad Charles would gather the entire family in the hallway closet. Not the basement, not the bathroom, specifically this one closet in the middle of our house. I always thought this was normal. Like, doesn't everyone have a designated storm closet? But apparently not, because when my ex stayed over during a summer storm 3 years ago, he looked at me like I had 3 heads when I casually mentioned we needed to get to the closet. The storm closet ritual was intense, TBH. Dad would hear thunder, and immediately his whole demeanor would change. He'd get super serious and start gathering supplies. Flashlights, blankets, snacks, and this ancient-looking metal box he kept on the top shelf of his bedroom closet. We weren't allowed to see what was in it, just had to follow him to the hallway closet. Once we were all inside, and it was cramped F, Dad would close the door, turn on this old battery-powered radio to static. Not even a station, just static. And then we'd sit there until the storm passed. As kids, Tanya and I would play games or fall asleep while Mom and Dad just sat there, super tense. When my ex questioned it, I suddenly realized how weird it must seem to an outsider. I tried explaining it was just what we do during storms, but he kept pushing, asking, why? And I realized, IDK? It was just our thing, So later that night, after my ex went to sleep, I texted my sister, why do we hide in the closet during storms? She replied immediately, what and why? That's just what we do, LOL, which was not helpful. The next morning, my ex was still being weird about it, and I started getting defensive. Like, all families have their things, right? But he wouldn't drop it. He kept saying it was concerning and strange, and I started feeling like maybe our family was weird. I got super upset. After he left, I called my mom and tried to casually bring it up. She got really quiet and then changed the subject so fast, which obviously made me more curious. I'd never questioned our storm ritual before, but suddenly it was all I could think about. I decided to ask my Uncle Ron next time I saw him. He's always been the family member who tells us stuff our parents won't. When I visited him a week later, I brought it up, and he looked super uncomfortable. He started saying something about your dad's way of dealing with things, and then my aunt walked in and he immediately shut up. By this point, I was getting really frustrated. Why was everyone being so weird about a simple question? It's just a closet thing, right? But clearly there was more to it. I started noticing other things too, like how Dad would check the weather obsessively during storm season, or how Mom would get this specific worried look whenever dark clouds gathered. Something was definitely up. I tried asking Dad directly, but he just said, it's safer, and walked away. Safer than what? I started doing research on storm safety, thinking maybe there was some obscure meteorological reason for hiding in an interior closet, but everything I read said basements were safer for tornadoes. Then last Christmas, the whole family was together, and we were all a bit tipsy from wine. I decided it was time to get answers. During dinner, I just blurted out, why do we hide in the hallway closet during thunderstorms? Tanya was staring at me with wide eyes. Mom looked at Dad, who had gone completely pale. After what felt like forever, Dad put down his fork and said we'd talk after dinner. The rest of the meal was super awkward, with everyone avoiding eye contact. Later, Dad took me to his study and closed the door. He seemed nervous, which was weird because my dad is never nervous. He asked why I wanted to know, and I explained how my ex had pointed out how strange it was, and I realized I had no idea why we did it. Dad sat heavily in his chair and was quiet for so long I thought he wasn't going to answer. Then he opened his desk drawer and pulled out an old newspaper clipping. It was yellowed and fragile, dated 30 years ago. The headline read, local family struck by lightning in home, 2 children dead. As I read the article, my stomach dropped. The family was my dad's cousins. They had been in their living room during a thunderstorm when lightning struck their house, traveled through the electrical system, and killed 2 of their children instantly. Dad was there when it happened. He was staying with them for the weekend. He was supposed to be in the living room too, but had gone to the hallway closet to get a board game just seconds before lightning struck. My father had survivor's guilt for years. The closet had literally saved his life, while his cousins died. The metal box he always brought contained photos of those kids. His cousins he couldn't save.